Here's something most people get completely wrong about men who love cats. They think a guy with a cat is soft, passive, maybe a little lonely. The world has been quietly selling you this lazy stereotype for decades, the idea that real men own dogs and the cat is some kind of consolation prize for a man who couldn't handle anything bigger. But the truth? It's almost the exact opposite. The men who genuinely love cats, not the ones who tolerate the family pet, but the ones who actively choose a cat, study it, respect it, and build a real relationship with it, tend to share a set of psychological traits that are surprisingly rare in the general population. And once you understand what those traits are, you'll never look at a cat guy the same way again. Stick with me to the end, because the fifth trait is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most attractive quality a man can have. By the time we're done, you'll be able to spot these men in a single conversation. Let's get into it. Number 1, emotional patience that can't be faked. Start here, because this is the foundation everything else is built on. You cannot bully a cat into liking you. You can't bribe it into loyalty the way you sometimes can with other animals. A cat decides on its own timeline whether you are worth its trust, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to rush that process. You can sit on the floor every evening for 2 weeks, and that cat might still watch you from across the room like you're a suspicious stranger who broke into its house. So think about what kind of man chooses to live with that. A man who loves cats has trained himself, often without realizing it, in a very specific kind of emotional patience. He has learned to offer his presence without demanding a reward. He shows up consistently, gives attention freely, and then waits, genuinely waits, for the other side to come to him when it's ready. That is an unbelievably rare skill, and it doesn't stay locked inside the relationship with the pet. It bleeds into how he treats people. The same man who learned not to chase a cat across the room is usually the same man who won't pressure you into opening up before you're ready. He doesn't push. He doesn't sulk when you need space. He understands on a deep level that trust is given, not taken, and that some of the best things in life arrive slowly, on their own schedule, or not at all. Watch how a man reacts to being made to wait. The cat lover has made peace with it. That peace is the first trait, and it's the soil the next 4 grow out of. Number 2, he reads what isn't being said. Now layer this on top. A cat will almost never tell you directly what it wants. There's no loud, obvious, tail-wagging announcement of joy at the door. Instead, a cat communicates in 1,000 tiny signals: the slow blink, the flick of an ear, the position of its whiskers, the difference between a tail held high and a tail twitching at the tip, the angle of its body, the pause before it decides whether to jump into your lap or walk away. To live well with a cat, a man has to become fluent in a language that is almost entirely nonverbal. And here's the fascinating part. That skill is exactly the same skill required to be emotionally intelligent with human beings. The man who has spent years reading the subtle moods of an animal that can't speak becomes unusually good at reading the moods of people who won't speak. He notices when your "I'm fine" doesn't match your face. He picks up on the tension in a room before anyone says a word. He catches the small shift in your tone that tells him something is off, even when you're insisting nothing is. Most people move through the world only hearing the literal words. The cat lover has trained himself day after day to listen to everything underneath the words. He spent a long time paying attention to a creature that demands he notice the details, and that attention to detail becomes one of the most quietly powerful things about him. You don't have to explain yourself fully to a man like this. He's already watching the parts you didn't say out loud. Number 3. He respects autonomy instead of fearing it. Here's where it gets really interesting, and where the cat lover splits off sharply from a lot of other men. A cat is independent by design. It does not exist to please you. It will love you fiercely on Monday and then ignore you completely on Tuesday. and it feels zero guilt about either one. It has its own inner life, its own agenda, its own moods that have nothing to do with you. A lot of people cannot handle this. It makes them insecure. They want an animal, and honestly, a partner, that constantly reassures them, constantly needs them, constantly proves its devotion. They confuse dependence with love. But the man who chooses a cat and genuinely loves living with one is making a quiet statement about his entire psychology. He is comfortable loving something that doesn't revolve around him. He doesn't need constant reassurance to feel secure. He can give affection freely and then let the other being walk away to do its own thing and feel completely fine about it. Think about what that means in a relationship. A man who respects a cat's autonomy is usually a man who will respect yours. He won't try to control your schedule, or get threatened by your friendships, or panic when you want a night to yourself. He understands that the people and creatures we love are not our possessions. He's secure enough to let you be a full, separate person with your own life, your own space, your own moods, without taking it as a personal rejection. That's not weakness. That's one of the strongest, most emotionally mature traits a man can have, and the cat in his lap has been quietly proving it for years. Number 4. Quiet confidence that doesn't need an audience. Pause and think about the social pressure here, because this one is sneaky. We live in a world that still hands men a script about what they're supposed to like. The loud truck, the aggressive dog, the image of the rugged, dominant guy who needs an animal that obeys him and makes him look powerful. So when a man stands in the middle of all that noise and says, "Actually, I love my cat," and means it, openly, without a hint of apology, he is telling you something important about his confidence. He doesn't need an audience to feel like a man. He's not performing masculinity for the people around him. He's not choosing his pet, his hobbies, or his life based on what makes him look tough in front of other guys. He's secure enough in who he is to like what he genuinely likes, even when it cuts against the stereotype. That is quiet confidence, and it's a completely different thing from the loud kind. Loud confidence needs constant validation. It needs to be seen, admired, agreed with. Quiet confidence just exists. It doesn't argue, it doesn't seek approval. It simply does what it does and sleeps fine at night. A man who is unbothered by the "cats are for women" stereotype is a man who is probably unbothered by a lot of other people's opinions about how he should live. He has an internal compass instead of an external one. He's not asking permission to be himself. And honestly, there are few things more attractive than a man who knows exactly who he is and feels no need to prove it to anyone. The cat curled up beside him is a small, daily piece of evidence that he stopped seeking approval a long time ago. Number 5. Gentleness as a deliberate choice, not a default. Now we get to the one almost nobody talks about, the one that changes everything. Here's the thing about a cat. It is small. It is fragile compared to a grown man. He could, physically, do whatever he wanted to it. There is a massive imbalance of power in that home, and the cat has no real defense against that except trust. And what does the man who loves cats do with all that power? He becomes gentle. He lowers his voice. He moves slowly. He learns the exact spot behind the ears that makes the cat melt. He's careful with his hands. He notices when the cat is scared and backs off. He uses every bit of his strength in the service of protecting something that could never protect itself from him. That is the trait, and here's why it's so rare and so revealing. The world is full of people who are gentle only because they have to be, because they're afraid of consequences, because someone is watching, because they'd get in trouble otherwise. That's not real gentleness. That's just restraint. But the gentleness of a man with his cat is completely unsupervised. Nobody is making him do it. No one would ever know if he were rough. He's tender in private, with something vulnerable, simply because that's who he chooses to be when no one is checking him. And that tells you everything, because the way a man treats something that has no power over him, something he could dominate and get away with it, is the truest test of his character that exists. It strips away every external incentive and shows you what he's actually made of underneath. A man who is deliberately, consistently gentle with a small creature in the privacy of his own home is a man whose kindness is real, not performed, not conditional, just real. That's the rarest trait of all, and once you've seen it, you understand that the cat guy the stereotypes tried to muck might actually be carrying around one of the most valuable qualities a human being can have. So let's bring it all together. A man who genuinely loves cats tends to carry 5 rare traits, and they build on each other. He has emotional patience that can't be faked, he reads what isn't being said, he respects autonomy instead of fearing it, he has quiet confidence that needs no audience, and underneath it all, he's gentle by deliberate choice, kind even when no one is watching and nothing is forcing him to be. None of that is soft. All of it is strength of a quieter, deeper, far rarer kind. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments. Do you know a man like this? Maybe it's your partner, your father, your brother, your best friend, or maybe it's you. Tell me which of these 5 traits hit closest to home and which one surprised you the most. And if this changed the way you see the men who love cats, do me a favor, hit that like button so more people see it, and subscribe because we're just getting started uncovering the hidden psychology behind the people who love animals. I'll see you in the next one.